Welcome to High Performing Systems e-learning series. Today's topic is on building stress resilience in organizations. This is part 1 in a 3-part series. Our presenter is Dr. Dick Thompson, a senior executive and award-winning organizational psychologist with over 30 years experience helping leaders, teams, and organizations maximize performance.
Why talk about organizational stress and organizational resilience? The reason we want to talk about it is because it has such a significant impact on organizational performance. Low resilience organizations just don't perform as well. Stress impacts them dramatically. Now, a few examples are on the screen now. And when you start thinking about 66% of visits to primary care physicians are related to stress, over 200 million are taking medication for stress, $350 billion losses annually. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of loss in productivity and absenteeism. People lose their jobs, you have to hire new people, and it just goes on and on and on. And organizations who have high stress resilience manages to keep these statistics relatively low. So what we're going to do for the next few minutes is talk about resilience and how we can build resilience within an organization. And when I'm talking about resilience, I want to use this particular definition. The resilience is when a person or an organization has the agility, the strength, and flexibility to adapt effectively to sudden enormous stress and change, and then be able to recover. Now, all organizations have experienced this over the last 5 or 6 years with the economic crisis. People have lost jobs, and organizations have had to restructure and resize and find new ways to be able to adapt to the change so that they could continue on. And then thousands of organizations were unable to do that. And if you look at the graph here, we were plodding along like this, and then the economic crisis hit. All organizations took a dip in performance. Some were able to pull out of that and begin to resist because they had the resilience to do it, but many organizations continued to go down until they went out of business and ceased to function, or they were bought by other organizations and had to be changed and adapted. So what we want to do is to begin to look at 3 key factors that helps an organization have high stress resilience. And these 3 key factors, and you could build a case that there are other factors too, but these seem to be the key ones in terms of building the organizational stress resilience, and that's the people. What is the impact of the people? What is their resilience level? How do they operate? How do they perform under high stress? And then how is your organization actually structured? What is the systemic structure of the organization? That's how information flows, how you make decisions, how the processes that you use to get work done. So it's all about the structure of the organization, because that impacts how resilient you can be, how quickly you can actually adapt. And adaptation is the third one. You have to be able to sense the environment and then adapt how you do business, how you perform to the demands of the environment. Otherwise, you get left behind and the organization may go out of business or struggle dramatically. So we're going to talk about these 3. And then this is a 3-part series. So this part is going to focus primarily on the people. So I'll introduce that piece of it to you, and then we'll look at the structure in part 2, and then part 3 we'll look at adaptation. So what happens when stress happens is the individuals in the organization actually, their brains take a chemical bath, and not just a chemical bath, but a corrosive chemical bath. And it results in a lot of immediate physiological changes. Increased adrenaline, heart rate goes up, blood pressure up, blood sugar up, a lot of different physiological changes occur almost immediately. And then there are longer-term effects that are very damaging to the brain if the stress continues to hang around for a while. But you get that impaired cognitive function and lowered immunity. And as you start to look at all of these different symptoms of stress, you can relate back to why so many people are on medication for stress. They miss work. And all of that then causes job performance to go down. It causes the decision quality within the organization to go down. People can't make good decisions. Stress causes you to have reduced access to your IQ. So it's like your IQ actually drops. You get sick. You don't go to work. Your emotional intelligence is restricted. You can't control your emotions as well. So if you have low stress resilience, when the stress hits, and it hits every day, I mean, I talk to people all over the world in organizations, and they're always telling me how stressed they are and the different events that are happening during the day that has them stressed out and the symptoms that they are experiencing. So it's there, and it's real. So we have to find ways to begin to build some resilience. Now, I found there are 3 factors in building stress resilience in individuals. One is to increase their stress management capacity, increase their cognitive resilience, and increase their stress-resilient emotional intelligence. And the combination of these 3 can help increase an individual's stress level and stress resilience dramatically. So let's just take a look at a couple of things you can do and realize that I'm going to talk very briefly today, but in my book, The Stress Effect, Why Smart Leaders Make Dumb Decisions and What to Do About It, and you can find this on Amazon.com. It goes into a tremendous detail around each of these and techniques for building it. So let's look briefly at stress management capacity. And all of us have our own individual ability to manage stress. We have a limited capacity. It's like a bucket full of water. And when the stress happens, the bucket has holes in it, and our capacity is running out quickly. So one of the things we need to be able to do is be aware that stress is happening, that we are becoming stressed, and that we need to implement some of our stress coping techniques, such as the relaxation response and doing 10 minutes of relaxation every day, starting relaxing with your toes and working all the way up to your head, and the yoga breathing and relaxing. And 10 minutes a day can make a tremendous difference in how you handle stress. Staying in your comfort zone, and you'll see in the graphic there, we all have a comfort zone, and the size of this comfort zone is different for each of us, but we need to know where the boundaries are, and we need to know that during the day our stress level is going to be going up and down. Sometimes it's going to get outside the comfort zone, and when it does, we're really going to feel stressed. Even if it goes below where it's not enough activity going on, we'll notice the impact there, particularly if we're being aware. Up in here, sometimes refer to the crazy threshold, when we start really acting out of character and behaving like we're someone else. And if we can increase our training to be able to perform whatever our tasks are, even under stress, and practice it under stress, we'll get so that we can manage it better. Physical exercise helps us to be able to manage more stress. So some type of exercise, walking or yoga or running, or just some type of physical exercise, and then combining that with good nutrition can make a significant difference on our ability to increase our stress management capacity. And then our cognitive resilience is being able to keep our brain performing well even under stress. Then I put Captain Sullenberger's picture up here because he's a great example of someone who was under tremendous stress and had about 180 seconds before impact with the ground and with that plane, and he was able to make the right decisions to stay calm cognitively and be able to make good decisions to put the plane in the river and put it in there just right and save everyone's life. That came about through a lot of practice and overlearning on emergency procedures and flying the aircraft and practicing for contingencies. And he was avoiding information overload. The first officer was taking care of a lot of the other communications and working on checklists, so he didn't have to do that. But all aircraft pilots have a set of checklists that they go over before they take off, before they land, whenever there's an emergency. All of us should be using some type of dashboards that's focusing on the key energy around our key task around our job and knowing where we are at any particular time. Being able to delegate some of the tasks, again, to take some of the cognitive load off of us. If we plan ahead and organize in advance of the event, then that's less work we have to do when an emergency actually occurs or a high stress occurs. And we're constantly, should be, checking our brain. When that check engine light goes off, it's like the check brain light going off, telling us, we're getting into overload. We need to be careful. We need to simplify things. If we build our knowledge about the job and our confidence level, we can perform better when the stress goes up. And when the stress is high, we set very short-term goals. Now's not the time to do a 5-year plan. We have to get through the next few minutes. We have to get through the next hour. We have to get through today. So using some of these techniques to increase our cognitive resilience. And when we think about stress-resilient emotional intelligence, I define it like you see on the screen: the ability to resist the negative influences of stress on the emotional aspects of decision-making by flexing and adapting to sudden change. One of the problems that happens when stress goes up is we begin to lose control of our emotions, and the emotions take over and sometimes can cause us to make decisions that are not that great. So a couple of examples that you're probably familiar with, Viktor Frankl, and if you haven't read his book, Man's Search for Meaning, I'd recommend you do that. Vice Admiral James Stockdale, who is a senior American prisoner in Hanoi, for a number of years, and the things that they went through and the way they managed their emotional intelligence is just phenomenal. So people that you might want to learn more about to see how they did it. But building stress-resilient emotional intelligence, getting feedback on your emotional intelligence. Take emotional intelligence assessments, get feedback on where you are, develop your skills, practice using these different skill sets under stress, developing your awareness to an enhanced level, knowing what emotions you're experiencing, knowing what the emotions are of the people around you, being able to control your emotions, and being able to control your behavior at the same time, so that you're producing the best, most emotionally intelligent responses in these different situations. Now, particularly when you're under stress. So a system that we found that works well is the 7 best practices of building resilience in the individuals in your organization. And if you have the people in your organization work on these 7 best practices, their resilience will go up. At the top, you see awareness. Being aware, like I mentioned several times already, of stress, its impact on you and what's going on. But in this case, with this model, also being aware of the other 6 best practices and how well you're doing on them. So taking the Arsenal assessment will allow you to kind of get a picture of where you are now, what you need to be working on, and how to do it. We need rest. When I talk to leaders all around the world, they all tell me, I'm tired, I'm running as fast as I can, I don't have time for vacations, I don't get enough sleep. You got to have sleep. You have to have rest. If you don't, your resilience goes down. You need a support team. You need a best friend, you need your family, you need some coworkers, you need a coach or mentor, some other people that can support you and give you help when you need it, people you can work with. Significant impact on your life and how long you actually live. Exercise, I mentioned before, You need some exercise several times a week, and this has a significant impact on how well your brain's functioning, how well you can manage stress. You need the right nutrition. You've got to eat good food and eat it at the right times in the right way, and it will significantly impact your stress level. The attitude that you have, people with good attitudes are the kind of workers you want to be around. They make things happen. People with negative attitudes tend to be angry all the time, talking bad about the organization, about other people, and negativity is contagious. You don't want to be around them. Lifelong learning, continuing to take courses, to do exercises, to exercise different components of your brain, not just doing crossword puzzles, but you need to do eye-hand coordination, short-term memory. So there are a lot of different components of the brain you need to work on. There's a lot of software out there that can help you do that. So if you combine all of these, it will have a significant impact on how well you're performing. So if you don't do well in awareness, you're going to get surprised a lot. If you don't rest enough, you're going to be grumpy when you come into work. If you don't have a good support team, you're going to be sad. If you don't exercise, your brain's going to work slow. If you don't eat right, if you don't eat breakfast, you're going to be distracted at work. If you don't have a good attitude, you're going to be seen as an angry person. And if you don't do lifelong learning, very quickly you're going to start forgetting things, and your memory will begin to deteriorate. So you need to use all of these. If you take the assessment, you get a spider graph that looks like this. And this is pretty typical of a senior executive. No rest. They're pretty aware that they're tired and things are going on, but not getting the rest. They don't have time to have support teams, and I don't need that touchy-feely stuff anyway. They might get some exercise. They might do halfway decent with nutrition, but that's not always the case. Attitude may or may not be good, and then they try to do some learning. But once you know what this profile looks like, then you can say, I really do need to get some more rest. I've got to sleep more. Power naps or whatever, I've got to get more rest. I do need a vacation. I've got to find a coach and some mentor and people to be on my support team and keep up the exercise. So if you do this, if you apply the arsenal and start to build up in those areas, what you'll notice is you'll have higher emotional intelligence, your cognitive ability goes up, you'll have better interpersonal relationships with the people at work, you tend to live longer, job performance is better, your stress is lower, your health is better, you're making more effective decisions. So in effect, what you've done is you've built a higher resilience in yourself or in the people in your organization. And as the individual people's resilience level goes up, it dramatically impacts the resilience level of the organization. So when we think about the three keys to organizational stress resilience, and we think about people, they're kind of like the building block. We need to work on them to increase their particular resilience so that they can function better within the organization. And that's one key piece of it. Next time, we'll talk about the structure, because the structure of the organization can overpower people who have high stress resilience. And then if the organization is not going to adapt or not allowed to adapt, it won't be resilient. And, all of these will have a significant impact on what you're doing and how the organization performs. So, like I say, next time we'll talk about structure. In the interim, you might want to consider taking a look at the Stress Effect book, and that will kind of prepare you for what we're doing going forward.
Thank you for viewing. For more information and resources on building stress resilience or to take the Arsenal assessment, please visit our website, www.hpsys.com. High Performing Systems is a recognized leader in using a systems approach to help leaders, teams, and organizations improve performance. We provide consulting, assessments, coaching, and training for organizations worldwide.